Face reality, people. Movies are dead. Games are dead. Narrative? Dead.
Media is nothing but neural trigger response and viral conditioning.
Wait, what are you two talking about?
All right, so this is our first fan requested video, or not the first, but the first official fan request. I've had other requests that I've gone over before. This is the first like official fan request thing, and it's from Little Bill. Little Bill. And the name of the video is How the Batman Fixed What the Dark Knight Fumbled. Now, this has to be interesting. This has to be very interesting. Now, here's my guess. My guess is that he's going to go into a comic book lore thing that shouldn't have anything to do with cinema. I mean, I guess it should somewhat because that's the source material, but like quality is just quality, right? That you don't need you don't need to be so loyal to the comic books to make a quality movie, right? That's just illogical. It doesn't make sense, right? If something is good, something is good. Period. It's not about like if they change Bruce Wayne's name to fucking John Wayne or whatever the fuck, right? That should not bother them. If the movie's good, the movie's good, right? Because it's about certain elements of like character building, world building, subtext, messaging, themes, acting, cinematography. Like there's all these different elements that go into a film, and like that should be judging whether something's good or not. Not if the Batmobile doesn't look exactly like the comic book one, right? That shouldn't be a fucking big deal at all. Let's be honest. Now, people may not know this. People in my Discord know this, but people in YouTube world may not know this. But I have rated The Dark Knight as the best film I've ever seen. That is not a joke. That is the best film I personally, from my personal opinion, have ever seen. And one of the biggest elements of this is not just the typical film stuff of, cinematics and plot and all that shit, but also I think the deeper, darker concepts and themes that I think are being showcased in the movie, the ones that reach out to the audience and try to like, hey, listen to me, like, yo, check this idea out. Like they're challenging the audience, right? That's the beauty of that film, and many films do that, right? Now, there's a difference between reaching out to the audience for the sake of getting like an emotional tearjerker reaction thing, right? Like you make some sort of sad scenario and you show a character crying or angry or something to get a reaction from the audience. That's reaching out into the audience, right? That's the typical thing we see, right? Usually drama or comedy, right? It's something to make you and the audience laugh, like along with the characters or along with the scenario, right? But then there's a different type. I think, and it's hard to put in the words, I think. Something where like your sense of the world can be questioned or affirmed or whatever. Like movies have that power, right? And I think something like The Dark Knight, as far as I've seen, when it comes to the idea of morality or moral philosophy, has by far, for me at least, been the fucking best at trying to bring that to the audience. And they do it through symbolism, through direct dialogue, through scenarios, through fucking, and then obviously the subtext, right? The kind of like a hidden message underneath the surface of what you're seeing on screen or what you're hearing on screen. That is the beauty of The Dark Knight. And for me, I love hero ideas. That's why it's my number one movie. I love the idea of a hero. And The Dark Knight showcases what a hero, like along with Batman Begins, right? You can't leave out Batman Begins. You need that character built up, and then you need to put them in a world where, okay, here's the most extreme circumstances of you expressing these moral ideas, right? They give you that in The Dark Knight. Uh, yeah, like I was saying, like hero thing. I love the idea of a hero, the hero's journey, a character evolving into something special, heroically wise. And the superpowers aren't when it comes to film, right? Anyone can CGI Superman flying from Earth to the fucking sun, right? Like, oh wow, superpowers. But in The Dark Knight in particular, and which I think should be the case in any hero movie, these are intrinsic values. These are things that the audience is supposed to be able to do themselves in their own actual lives. That's what makes it special. That's why it reaches out into such a degree that I think, like, damn, you could probably teach moral philosophy on The Dark Knight alone. I know there's The Matrix out there and V for Vendetta and movies like that. I get it. But I think the showcase of moral philosophy, it's the fucking Dark Knight. The Matrix ventures a little bit more into woo-woo and politics and shit like that. This goes at the core of morality, and they try to showcase it through these characters that are, legacy type of characters, right? Batmans and shit like that. But, okay, this is all of that to say, it's going to bring me to this video, where it might be a little bit more about, what type of spandex Batman is wearing, or the Batmobile is not so correct. I hope it's a little bit more about that subtext, those themes. I hope it's a little bit more about that. But that'd be a hard argument to make with Robert Pattinson's Batman movie. That'd be hard to make. Clearly that movie's not necessarily about moral philosophy. I don't think. It's about caring. Hey, I don't care. Ugh. No, I do care. Maybe it's more about that, right? Or he's just like, fuck bad guys, fuck them up, just beat them up. And then maybe he learns a little bit more at the end. Goes through an epiphany. He fucking gets baptized by falling into a fucking, a flooded building, flooded arena. He's symbolically baptized or something like that, to where he starts like caring and okay. But whatever. All right, let's hear his arguments. As I happen to think The Batman is a trash fucking movie. The Robert Pattinson Batman, I think it's trash. And let's see if he changes my mind on that. Here we go. Unedited, baby. Through and through. Destroyed Nolan's Batman.
So, in one of my favorite videos on this channel, I did say that Batman is my favorite.
How capitalism created the modern anti-villain. Okay.
Black Panther has always been something of a
capitalism. So he's going straight politics off rip, which I think the point of The Dark Knight was saying this isn't about politics. This is deeper than politics. Yes, believe it or not, folks, there's something deeper in the world than fucking politics. In fact, the Joker uses politics as like a little joke. Like a fucking joke to him. Anyways, here we go.
So he probably would be numero eins, if not for the fact that when compared to the Bats, his rogues gallery looks more like a JV scrimmage squad.
Okay, nerd shit, got it.
Like I said in the anti-villain video, I can understand how me simping for a billionaire trust fund baby running around in a bat suit would garner a collective side eye from the audience. But like I said in that video,
from political thinking people, yeah.
Why Bat is and probably always will be my fave is because at the end of the day, he's just a dude.
Yeah, I gotta turn the volume up.
I mean, he's a dude with a seemingly bottomless bank account, which arguably is the greatest superpower ever. But this guy squared up with freaking Darkseid of all people. Okay,
he's going into comic book shit. Okay, Batman's superpower in the Nolan trilogy is integrity. Like honor. It's like things that we can do as human beings, as an audience. Like we could do that. It's being challenged in the movie. Like we're supposed to somewhat be seeing through Bruce Wayne's eyes if we want to, walk in that kind of hero role, if you will. And the Joker is not just a physical challenge for Batman. He's a philosophical challenge to Batman, which is a philosophical challenge to the fucking audience. Hey, what would you do if you were in this scenario, huh? If car full of soldiers get blown up, no one bats an eye. But I threaten one little mayor, and all of a sudden, everyone loses their fucking minds. It's like, that's a challenge to the audience. That's not just for the Batman character in the fucking movie. One of the best scenes ever in film is Joker Batman interrogation room. There's that. But anyways, he's going to the comic book shop. Got it. Dark Side, Magic, Spaceman. Got it. Here we go.
If you didn't know, according to the comics, is the actual embodiment of the concept of tyranny. Like, I mean,
Really?
Darkseid's Black Air Force energy is so immense that his actual true form literally cannot exist in this plane of existence. And somehow the Bat caught this nigga lacking. Like I said before, what makes the Bat great is not his peak physical conditioning, and it's not his bottomless bag of gizmos and doodads, or even the bevy of buxom beauties he keeps on speed dial. But it's his brain.
Did you write this?
Bat brain. No matter how high.
Not in the Nolan movies. It's not his brain. He's smart. He's very smart. But he's not super genius in that. He's not super genius detective guy. He's fucking Rocky or some shit. He's like, I fucking stand for something and I'm not moving off this pillar. I stand for something, damn it. I'm an idea. Right? It's something more woo-woo, more fancy, more, in fact, dare I say special than just being intellectually articulate, whatever the fuck, right? I think it's more interesting of a character that way. But, politics is the winner of the day for most people when it comes to, I don't know. I guess when it comes to observing life, they see it through a political lens more than they do existentially, which would require much more than just who you voted for or what your political beliefs are, what systems do you like or dislike, yada, 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 right? It would require your psychology, which is a major theme throughout the entirety of Nolan's trilogy, less so in the third one, but it's still there. It's a very important point to the fucking character that they make in the Nolan trilogy. And dare I say, part of me wants to say spiritual, right? I think that's also a part of the story that they're trying to tell, right? And kind of like dancing between psychology and spirituality together, right? You didn't think I was going to win the soul of Gotham in a fist fight with you? The fuck? Not doing that. It's like, what? Like, we're like a situation where Joker doesn't kill someone. For some reason, he's okay with that because it's not about that. It's not about the money. It's about sending a message. You fucking dunce. Who's that for? Is that for? It seems like it's for the audience to hear, to consume. But whatever. Here we go.
The odds are stacked against him, or how far his back is up against the wall. Bruce almost always finds a solution to the problem, even if improbably so at times. Like T'Challa, minus the heart-shaped steroid, Bruce basically epitomizes the idea of brains over brawn. The idea that at the end of the day, the human brain has more potential than any amount of gamma rays or radiated spider venom or extreme sunbathing ever could. By the way, what's up with the whole comic origins and radiation thing? Like, honestly, it's a worse trope than the whole canned laughter and sitcoms bit. I promise you, if you've never seen this show, there's more laugh tracks in it than actual lines of dialogue. As I've said in the past,
I think the fixation with things like that would kind of it's kind of dumbing it down for the audience. Because you have on the surface, here's a reason why this guy is Superman, or this guy is Spider-Man, or whatever the fuck, right? Versus, if you look at Nolan's trilogy, why Bruce Wayne is Batman and no one else can be, is like something intrinsic that he did, or an experience that he had that made him actually Batman. Like, he is that thing. He is the moral fortitude. That's what he is. He became that through experience, through trials, through rites of passage, he became the real thing. Hey, what? Why do you get to do this, but we can't? I'm not wearing hockey pads. That line wasn't made so no one could throw hockey pads into a script, or David S. Goyer or Jonathan Nolan, right? He didn't. That wasn't the reason for it. It's to say like he's Batman because he went through the rites of passage. That these fools who just think they can put on a bat suit and grab a gun and shoot someone, those are bad guys. Grab a gun, let's shoot them. Like, you're not Batman. You're not the real deal. You're like, kind of like fakers. Doesn't mean he hates you. He's not saying, like, I fucking hate you guys. I'm not saying he hates them, seemingly, from the movie. But he's definitely like, you're not the real deal, bro. Now you're full of shit. Almost like Trump, like getting on it, like, I'm here to protect the American people. Like, you're not the real deal, are you, bro? You're not that real dude. Fuck out of here. Anyways, here we go.
Batman at his core is a detective. I mean, the roots of the character literally lie in the hard-boiled detective stories of the pulp
in the comics,
dime novels that were popular
it's a movie
at the time. See, when I think of the best Batman stories across all media, at the end of the day, they pretty much boil down to a Law and Order episode, but just with more spandex.
Isn't that a terrible premise for a movie?
What's that? Say that again?
Isn't that a terrible premise for a story?
Not for a story, but it might be. In my opinion, I think it's a terrible premise to love a character. To love
Law and Order episode.
Yeah, Law and Order exists. Why not? Why can't Law and Order exist? But will I make it my favorite thing ever? Fuck no.
That's what I'm saying.
So I get what you're saying, but I'm like, at the same time, like, sure, it should exist, but why would I call that my favorite thing? Why would I want my character to be like that? To me, that's just boring and like surface level. Who, what, where, when's, instead of like, who are you? Like, don't stop looking around. I'm talking about you in the audience. Who are you? I'm John. That's your name. I'm a doctor. That's your job. Who are you? I want movies to do shit like that. Really challenge the audience. And guess what? That is a dying art. Well, maybe not so much anymore. We saw Nosferatu. But, that's what I look for in my works of art. Although I do get to enjoy Law and Order or the Avengers. I get to enjoy these other things. I like Den of Thieves. I thought it was okay. The second one, I'm saying, I thought it was okay. I enjoyed it. But is it the fucking god tier 10 out of 10 fucking movie? Fuck no. But, I guess people don't want to make disseminations like that. Whatever. But here we go.
Tables, Hush, The Court of Owls, The Long Halloween. These are some of the stories that I think of when conjuring up the best Batman storylines and understanding why Batman is great
for
as a standalone character and not just as a vehicle for his objectively peerless rogues gallery. Do not at me on that, you normie bastard. And this, folks, is why after months of going over this exceedingly inconvenient
He's talking about entertainment, not...
I've concluded that
deeper,
the Batman, that's written by Matt Reeves and portrayed by Diet Dracula himself, is my favorite interpretation of the character outside of the comic books, the video games, the animated movies, the animated series.
So you're a dweeb. I get it. Hey,
but I think he's being upfront about it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. He's into the nerd culture of it. Versus, like, I want God tier storytelling. Like, God tier. Like, this could be a passage in the fucking Bible, God tier shit. Or whatever religious book. Like, this is, like, on that level where people should be studying this for years and years and years. Like, he's not thinking about that when he's thinking about film. I'm thinking about that when it comes to film because people are trying to do that. Sorry to burst someone's bubble. And, like, hey, here's how hot dogs are made. But straight up, there are people who have philosophies, ideas, thoughts about the world beyond what is the color of the Batmobile. They have people who write stories beyond shit like that. And I'm all for it, man. I love that type of shit. Because like I'm getting more human out of it than nerd fantasy shit. But I'm not trying to knock nerd fan. Like, enjoy nerd fantasy stuff. Just don't fucking try to bumble over fucking, you know, something deeper or more well thought out or more intricate on like all levels too. Like the plot for The Dark Knight is like it's kind of impeccable actually. Like, some of the there's some cartoony things to it in regards to acting and shit like that, but the A to B plot is kind of like, damn, that's just on point. That's what makes it. That's another element that makes it great for me. That the plot's on point too. It's not only just telling the philosophy of the movie, but also it's just an entertaining plot. It really is. But here we go. Guess we'll have more time to figure. We got a lot of time here. Here we go.
Frankly,
oh god.
Honestly, folks, I think it's time for us to just admit that Batman's movies are probably the weakest part of his mythos. Yes, even the 89 Burton cut, which
even the 89
looks like halfway through filming, the wardrobe and makeup department somehow spontaneously combusted. So Burton just said, F it, use whatever we got left over from Beetlejuice. Oh yeah, this Batman also kills people if you don't remember.
Okay.
For as much flack as we give the Batfleck character for waxing dudes like a freshly buffed floor, nobody seems to ever do the same thing for the Keaton guy. And he does it with a smile on his face and a twinkle in his eye to boot. All jokes aside, folks, outside of the Burton movies, in my opinion at least, the films have always been the weakest bits of Batman media out there.
Yeah.
Case in point, the universally beloved and acclaimed.
This dude is saying outside of the Burton ones, the movies suck. Is he counting the Nolan ones, or is he saying like in that time period? Because the Schumacher ones are cheeks, straight up, they're cheeks. I get.
He's saying the Burton ones are the outliers in the positive.
I'm wrecked, bro. Like what do I do with this guy if I play him Braveheart? Is he gonna be like wrecked by watching Braveheart? Is he gonna bring up his politics, like just white heroes in movies? Like, is that what he's gonna do? It's like seriously, I'm sorry to make fun of the guy, but like do you outside of comic books? Like, what do you enjoy for like film? Just film. Like, what are your favorite movies outside of the comic book genre? And it's like that might be very fucking telling. To be honest with you, but all right, here we go.
Nolan trilogy. Except by me, obviously. Now, I've already gone on record and said that the older I get and the further removed I am from the absolute brainfuggle that was Joker Heath when he stole our hearts and appeared on our screens on 2008 or whatever year it was, the more I dislike the Nolan films and their themes. I mean, in a nutshell, Bat Bale is basically everything problematic with the Batman character dialed up to 11 and then has the audacity to slap you on the rear end and then dare you to go to HR and say something about it because he owns the company anyway. And yeah, that actually did happen to somebody that I worked with at one of my former jobs. That and a whole lot more, actually. It was full of Trump voters, by the way. Bale is, in my opinion...
Okay, there's a little insight on him. Reading him like a book a little bit here, but whatever. I get it. Politics. Here we go.
It was full of Trump voters, by the way. Bale is, in my opinion, again, unequivocally the weakest parts of at least the last two installments of his trilogy. And this isn't just in comparison to his two nemesis, but just as a standalone character. I mean, let's just cut down to the chase, folks. Batman got lucky in both of those films. And this is even after mining all of the data from his fellow Gothamites, presumably with a big assist from Google and Facebook. Even after that...
Okay, he's going politics. He does have Morgan Freeman destroy the machine after he does that. So this is going to be like fucking Robbie Martin type of shit, right? Because it's like swiping. It's a cat swiping at yarn, but not quite getting it type shit. Got it. All right, so he does destroy that machine. The movie acknowledges it as immoral. This is like they're not calling it immoral, they're calling it sus. Right? And the idea is that Batman's the guy who can do that because no one else is like him in that world. They don't have the integrity that he has, type of thing. That's his superpower, right? Also, fucking what was I gonna say? Fucking damn it! Fucking left my head as I was saying that. Fucking yeah, okay. One of the themes in the movie is, and with Nolan's interpretation of Batman, is that he can go close to the line without crossing it. That's part of the theme of the movie. There's a whole documentary where it's chock full of psychology, archetypes, what the villains represent, what the hero represents, the hero's journey throughout it, on and so forth. They kind of give you a lot of the answers that most fans miss out on. There's an entire documentary about it, about those movies in particular, and it's before Dark Knight Rises. It's about Batman Begins and A Dark Knight, and yeah, you could probably get a decent explanation there of the idea that Batman that's why he's like the dark guy. Like he can get close to the line of immorality but doesn't cross it. Right? The fucking, is it Maroney? Is that his name? Eric Roberts in The Dark Knight?
Yeah, Marine.
It was like, everyone knows your rules, you're not gonna kill me. Right? This fall won't kill me. He's like, I count on it. And he throws him off the fucking ledge and breaks his legs and shit. Where it's like, he won't break that rule about killing, but doesn't mean he won't fuck you up. Like he gets close to the line. Actually gets dangerously close to the line to where it actually builds tension for the character. Like, fuck, will he fuck this up? Will he cross the line here? Even the end of the movie when he catches the Joker's falling to his death, and Batman saves him at the last second, right? and catches him and brings him back up because he gets close to the line, but he won't cross it, right? Which is, at least in their world, right? I'm sure he's going to take it and turn it into like, oh, this is what they're saying. They're saying, like, they're justifying the NSA, they're justifying the CIA, they're justifying spying on people, Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, they're justifying it in this movie, is what these kind of dweebs say. But why would he destroy it in that same movie? Why would they have Lucius Fox calling it like, this is wrong, this is not right? And Batman's like, type your name in when you're done, and walks away, right? Morgan Freeman Lucius Fox types his name in, and the entire machine is destroyed. Because he gets to the line but doesn't cross it. That's an idea in moral philosophy, guys. But I understand it's not good enough. Politics. Here we go.
This is even after mining all of the data from his fellow Gothamites, presumably with a big assist from Google and Facebook.
He didn't mine the data.
Even after...
He didn't mine the data either. You just made that up. That wasn't in the movie. He didn't mine the data. It was surveillance looking for like where the Joker might be. If it wasn't the Joker, they didn't give a fuck. But whatever. Here we go. I mean politics.
He still has to depend on the idea that maybe there are enough good Samaritans on both of those cargo ships to not blow each other to kingdom come. So again, he gets lucky, and you're the Batman.
That was symbolic for the sake of, once again, Joker's trying to win the soul of Gotham. That's not to be taken like lightly. It's not he's not speaking metaphorically there. He's like, yo, I want to show them that this whole little moral things that these motherfuckers hold up is not actually real. It's bullshit. It's paper mache. And once I bring like something dark to their worlds, it gets ripped to pieces, and they're willing to kill each other over it. All have to do is fuck around with their fucking worlds, and those little morals get thrown out the fucking window. Except for one guy. And we know who he is. Like, how'd you not pick that up in the movie, my man? How'd you not see that? But whatever. Maybe it's not in the movie. But then again, it is in the documentary. So made with the creators. You have Christian Bale interviews, you have Christopher Nolan interviews, you have psychologist interviews, you have David S. Goyer, I think, is in there. You talk about Carl Jung to this person to that person. Like, it's in the movie. But anyways, here we go.
The kingdom come. So again, he gets lucky, and you're
not luck.
Batman. You don't get lucky. Well, I mean, you do get lucky, but that's in a completely different context.
That was kind of funny.
You make your own luck, bucko. And I'm not even going to rehash the garbage ending to that third movie again. But like I said in the anti-villain video, nothing about Bruce changes over the course of this trilogy, other than perhaps he becoming an even bigger, entitled, authoritarian jerk-off at the end. And that.
Okay. So more politics and yada, 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 projecting onto the movie instead of taking what the movie's trying to say. Right? Instead of reading what the artist is trying to say, you're trying to project onto the movie, which is bizarre to me. But whatever. It is what it is. People watch movies in different ways. If we want to talk about heroes making they make their own way out of things, what was that shit in the Batman where he injects himself with green ooze? What the fuck was that? That wasn't courage. That wasn't talent. That wasn't integrity. That was nothing intrinsic about the character. That was just a chemical he injected into his leg. It became super strong now. Became strong and fast. How is that acceptable? That doesn't make fucking sense, bro. But yo, that's like the killing of an idea of an actual hero. It really is. Like, hey, let's metaphorically showcase this person's honor and integrity to show why they're a hero in these moments. This movie's like, nah, just give him a chemical. Give him fucking roids. And let him fucking do. Or what does Zack Snyder do? We'll do like a CrossFit scene where he's doing power cleans and squats and shit like that. Instead of like fucking nailing it, like instead of making it about the character, it's about the aesthetics, the super shallow aesthetic things. Yeah, like, well, how do you do that? Well, he had a batarang instead of like a willpower or something like that. Something that we can attach to as human beings. Because guess what? Everything happening on screen, everything happening in your comic book, it's make believe, my man. It's make fucking believe. It's not real. But there are real things that can pierce through the art. And it's not batarangs or green oozes. Once again, honor, integrity, willpower. Those are things that can actually cross over into our real lives, not your batarangs. Anyways, people in politics, like, God, they're so god awful at it too. It becomes hypocritical too. Because if I bring up some certain ideas that a bunch of politicians have done, they're gonna be around scrambling. Well, what do we do? I don't. So no one's good. Like, they end up getting fucking lost. Like, wait a minute, politics wasn't the answer the entire time? Like, no, it wasn't. Sorry. I don't know who tricked you into that. MLK wasn't thinking about fucking politics, bro. He had a righteous fucking spiritual backbone, bro. Malcolm X had a spiritual backbone. They're not hardcore politician motherfuckers, man. That's what we're supposed to be fighting against. But whatever. Here it is.
That's because nothing
try to give me the
course of this
vibes.
trilogy to force Bruce to reassess whether his methods and motives are really as righteous as he believed year one. At the end of the second movie, Bruce makes himself a martyr to the court of public opinion, not because he truly believes he's in the wrong, but because he believes that the public can't be trusted with the truth about Dent.
People will lose hope.
They won't. They must never know what he did. I killed those people. That's what I can be.
Thus, this noble lie, as critic Todd McGowan calls it, is less a noble sacrifice, in my opinion, again, than it is just another example of an elitist dickhead taking it upon themselves to assume what is and isn't in the public's right, let alone interest, to know. Like,
I'll say it's somewhat fair enough to that. Somewhat. But I think the point was, I can't let the Joker win. Now, the Joker doesn't represent a madman. He doesn't represent a crazy man. This is metaphorical. It's symbolic. It's he can't allow for this idea that like there is no morals. Everyone who is supposed to be right, what was it? Die and be a hero, or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. Right? That whole story in the fucking movie, that idea in the movie. It's the it's to show that Dent or that morality is like worth it for like Batman's trying to make the case that morality is worth it, and you are capable of being moral. You can't just like someone can't just get you to throw it away. And Harvey Dent was the kind of representative of the city, of the average man, the gray man, if you will, who hasn't truly stepped on a pedestal like Batman or stepped on a pedestal like Joker. He's in between. He's the in-between man, if you will. And Batman will not allow for that to be like the winner at the end of the day. Like, oh, all your morals are flimsy fucking things that can be turned. Even the best of you can be fucking turned over with your morals or with your principles or whatever. Right? Batman's like, I can't allow that to be the case. I can't allow that to be the message that these people receive, that they get out of this. Granted, I understand plot-wise why you would have a problem. I get that. I understand that. I think there's something that can be done there. I think writing-wise. But that's why the movie's not perfect to me. But it is really good. It is really good. And I understand the motives behind with the character. While maintaining his actual true character, I understand why that character would do that in that scenario with Harvey Dent. I understand that. Because the Joker must not win. The idea like there is no morality in the world. It's all make believe. It's all socially created make believe morals. Duh. And Batman's like, I can't allow that to be the winner at the end of the day. Once again, I think that could be rewritten a certain way for sure, but I think that was the end. That was the end goal of what they were trying to say with the movie. Which once again, if you don't pick up on these things, what do you want me to do? You want to help me help you, man. Help me help you. Here we go.
This
is gonna be a long fucking video.
Contradicts
this might be a
the
3-hour fucking video
point of that cargo ship scene where you
I'm
have
hoping to speed through this a little bit faster.
Free man alike just taking it upon themselves to put their own lives in the hands of complete strangers for nothing but the sanctity of their own consciences. And this isn't by any stretch the only time that Nolan contradicts his own themes. Like, the whole purpose of Bane in the third movie was to prove that in the absence of an institutionalized authority, that the average Joe and Jane is just going to do whatever is in their own interest, and this inevitably leads to chaos. Nolan's Batman is basically everything I've come to hate about modern pop Nietzscheans.
Okay, I'll back up a little bit. Once again, it's not a real city of people. These are not real people. In fact, I think they're kind of representatives of the psyche of possibly an individual or a collective psyche in a certain way. Once again, they go over it in their own documentary about the fucking thing. That the main themes are about psychology, and I would call it spirituality. They might not call it that, right? But the idea of heroism and the hero's journey and all that shit. So, the idea of the prime order, which is Batman. Batman's the prime order. When he goes away, shit goes to shit. When he comes back, he reconfigures it into an order that works morally for that world. These are forces, not people. Granted, if I watch any movie where I just eliminate the idea of symbolism and metaphors and strictly go with like, that's Bob going to the store, instead of reading it as something maybe deeper, as like, this is not just Bob. This is like Bob represents something, maybe something in society, maybe something in the mind, psychologically speaking, maybe something spiritual. is a representative. Like, if I take V for Vendetta and took him as a real person, it kills the fucking movie. Well, how do you do those backflips, man? Like, it's not a fucking person, you idiot. Holy shit. Maybe Evie's the person in that movie, and she's just going through a rites of passage, with V being this force that's playing upon our actual hero character. I'm just saying. But here we go.
That the average Joe and Jane is just going to do whatever is in their own interest, and this inevitably leads to chaos. Nolan's Batman is basically everything I've come to hate about modern pop Nietzscheans, aka smiley face fascist. Now, before all the Nietzscheites hit my comment section coming for blood, understand that I'm not necessarily talking about you guys, even though, for the record, I do hate Nietzsche's philosophy because of the whole anti-egalitarianism thing, but that's another video. I'm not talking about you.
Yeah, so you read some books, memorized them.
Guys, frankly, the problem that I have with y'all is that y'all really need to touch grass and make up.
Actually, that's a good point. Touch grass. There it is right there. Now, in his world, touch grass means something like, I don't know, mowing your lawn, paying your taxes, some shit from the Matrix that they're like, is this the world you really think it is? That's my guess. That's my actual guess. Something like that. But I think some of the deeper ideas that a lot of the on-the-surface readers of apparently everything get lost, like they actually miss out. They miss out on some of the interesting storytelling in film, to storytelling in their own fucking lives. They miss out on it because they're so locked into on the surface readings of things. And in fact, something I heard before in a movie called Waking Life, which I like a lot, whereas a philosopher, there's a portion of the movie where I guess it's some philosopher, I forgot his name. I'm sure I would be killed by the internet intellectuals, but it doesn't matter it's less about the name. It's more about the story there, where a guy didn't feel like he was living his life until he got hit by a fucking car. He's like, wow, now I'm alive. And that's the same thing goes with philosophy, right? Like, it needs to be skin in the game would be the term I guess I would use there. It can't just be intellectual fucking bobbling around, reading words and repeating them out loud. It needs to be actually practiced. And I think the funny thing about this is the Dark Knight movie tries to show a character practicing his moral philosophy. And in fact, I think that writers and creators are using the character as a vehicle to say it to the audience. Like, hey, what about this idea in regards to your own moral philosophy? Are you paying attention, or is it just something, is it just entertainment on Friday night? Or is it just, oh man, here's Batman, yeah! Like nerdy shit. But, let's continue. I'll try to shut up, man. I'm trying to shut up.
Deficiency that you're experiencing right now.
Yeah,
melanoma is actually pretty dangerous. But what I'm talking about is all of those people who learned nihilism from Rick and Morty or something, and assumed that nihilism is just shorthand for nothing matters, including how big of a dick I am to all of the people that I secretly feel inferior to. Basically, Nolan's Batman is just like all of the terminally online edgelords who worships him. In a sentence or fewer, he just thinks much more highly of himself than he ought to. Thus, he becoming the Batman in the first place. Like, this is really the only reason why he thinks himself above not only the law, but above society itself. And thus, he feels justified in violating the privacy of all of his fellow, again, private citizens in order to catch literally one nigga who's been clowning him for the duration of this movie because, I don't know, he just knows better, apparently. And as I
oh my god, if he's a metaphor for something, like, what do I do if I show him Braveheart? He's like, take them as like, yeah, these are real people doing things. Like, no, those are actors. That's a set. These are writers over here. They wrote this thing down. They're making the characters do things. Got it. You think their whole idea of the Dark Knight movies is to say, like, this is a real guy, and these are real people, and this is their real reaction. This is how people would really react to this real character. Like, I don't fucking buy that shit, bro. It seems clearly metaphorical. In fact, there's a scene in The Dark Knight when they capture the Joker the first time, right? And he's in the jail cell, and they're going over shit he had. Like, oh, he has no other names, no alias. All his clothes are custom made. Nothing in his pockets but lint and knives. That's not a fucking person, bro. Like, is that supposed to be metaphorical for the fucking, Like, I don't understand. It seems more like in my reading of it, as like a force of nature, as like whatever you want to call it. Like, oh, he's chaos. He is chaos. I think that's a better assessment than just saying like, oh, he's an actual clown guy. He's an actual guy. He represents an actual person wearing actual clown mask or clown makeup, and he's actually blowing this up and blowing that up. None of it's metaphorical. Even the messaging is so clear as day. Messaging. We're supposed to read it as real people. It's like, damn, man, you didn't get to actually watch The Dark Knight. You missed the fucking movie, my man. You missed out on it. Unfortunately. You took maybe your comic book sensibilities and thought you were watching, I guess, a document. I don't know what the fuck you thought, man. Like, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. To me, it seems like these are metaphorical characters, almost like you have like the people call them like the sage or the guru characters, where they're not really there, but they're kind of like they play a magical role for the sake of the main character. And I don't mean magical Negro, Will Smith, Legend of Bagger Vance, even though that was kind of like take that thing and be like, okay, this is what maybe these characters kind of represent. They're not supposed to represent real fucking people. I don't think so, at the very least. If they are, then fuck. You got me. All that messaging and narration and dialogue from these characters, apparently it was just fucking... I don't know. Doesn't make sense then at that point. He's a character with no origin. Like, imagine that, creating a character, giving them no origin, no sense of like who they would be as a human being, right? Like a name or an address or an origin, where'd they come from? Like, what the fuck? Every time he's talked about his past, he made up a different story each time he talked about it. It's like, this is clearly something being played on. This is some sort of force being played upon, maybe something different. The self of a psyche in Jungian sense. Or maybe your mind, something being played upon your mind in order to, like, how do you make moral decisions when this is going on? Which seemed to be like a main focus of the movie. More so than how many wheels are on the Batmobile. Which is where I think his mind is going to. Because, let's be real, he sounds like he's locked into politics. Politics is some of the most boring shit ever, and then when you actually look into it, even their sensibilities in regards to politics is fucking wrong too. So it's like, what are we doing then? But whatever, here we go.
I said earlier, at the end of the day,
I'm sure he knows about the
basically
principles
just takes it upon himself to prove himself right when he shows us that his version of Gotham without a Batman or institutions to keep its citizens in check is pretty much just one big college house party, but with all of the horny replaced with poverty.
Psyche without the self, my man.
And this, folks, is why I didn't take pictures in college, which is why I'm still employable.
The psyche without order. And then not just order, but also moral order, quote unquote. Like, yeah, it would go to fucking shit, wouldn't it? If there was no kind of principles, ideas, immovable principles and ideas. If that goes away, your mind is probably warped and fuck. Maybe you're the Joker then. Who knows? But here we go.
Additionally, like I said in the anti-villain video, the argument can be made that Batman and his draconian approach to enforcing his version of justice on Gotham, whether it wants it or not, actually creates more harm than he absolves. Two-Face, the Riddler, Hush, Bane, and of course his forever bottom bay, Mr. J himself, were all created in some way, shape, or form, either as a direct result of or in response to the Batman's very existence. So like I said in the past, Batman has...
Just like in the psyche As in, if you make a moral principle that you refuse to move from, like, I believe in this moral principle and I'm not moving from it, instantly, simultaneously creates the antithesis of that. As like, it's like psychologically speaking, there'll be something playing on the antithesis of that. Maybe you can call it your darker side, maybe your propensity for evil, whatever the fuck you want to call it, your shadow. There's a whole bunch of terms for these things. They exist, my man. Sorry. Maybe a movie tried to showcase that, and you're apparently butthurt about the Batmobile. But here we go.
Has the potential to be a better case for police reform, or dare I say,
Police reform.
defunding,
Defund the
than
police.
BLM could ever make. If only the writers would see that.
I hope you're not targeting audiences with
That's
shit
called
like that, but
foreshadowing. All that being said,
I hope that's
don't
an
want this
individual-
video to devolve into the whole Batman.
I hope that's
is a
existential
fascist
statements for you, not
argument,
borrowed.
Because frankly, I feel like it's lazy and overvalued, kind of like Ben Simmons. But I will say that the inspiration for this video
He's from
largely
Philly.
came
Got it.
as a result of me watching one of my favorite channels.
He's from Philly. Got it.
Garbage, and his video on why we can't seem to get a half decent Superman movie these days outside of the DC animated universe, and why everybody who has ever been given the task to write that character, who either isn't a comic or an animated movie writer, F's him up so freaking badly. No one in
Okay, so he showed like, okay, stop using Superman as like Jesus symbolism. Stop that. But at the same time, if you took that away from Neo in the Matrix, you'd be crying because it would kill the kid. Like, these are motifs about like a messianic character, right? A guy with superpowers. Like, granted, like the thing you're blaming, it's almost like the Culture Warriors, where they blame like two gay characters kissing as like the reason why the movie's bad. Meanwhile, it's just bad writing. So you're gonna blame Jesus symbolism in a Superman movie as the reason why it's bad versus like Zack Snyder making it. Maybe that was a big problem in the first place, was Zack Snyder making that thing. Because the Matrix walks away pretty fine with all of its Jesus symbolism. It walks away pretty well. Actually makes for a good hero character. Actually, biblically, forget about this. Take Jesus as a character in a story. Guess what? It's fucking epic. As far as Superman movies go, the Jesus story is better than every Superman movie ever fucking made. It is. It's probably better than every comic, too, to be honest with you. But I'm sure the dweebos will get mad about that. But it is what it is. It's an epic story. It's bigger. It's a bigger story than fucking man in tights and with a red cape. So maybe you should be looking for Jesus being used in your fucking Superman movies. Maybe you should be looking for that. Because guess what? Everything else I've seen so far, it seems like a struggle. Personally. But yeah, anyways, here we go.
Hollywood really knows how to write a Superman story, because no one in Hollywood really knows Superman.
They don't know the
They just
comics,
know
that's
Christopher
why.
Reeves. And as a result, they keep trying to do what the Donner movies did, and that's make him Jesus. But without bound.
If you think that Zack Snyder's Superman is like Christopher Reeves, you're fucking batshit. You're not paying attention. And if you think it's just, they're just trying to make him Jesus. If you think that's the reason why those movies suck, you're probably a comic book nerd, and you miss out on good storytelling. Anyways, here we go.
Balancing out the
trolling?
heavy Christ metaphors with all of the fun and whimsy.
Yeah,
of
that ruined the Matrix, didn't it?
I'm not going to rehash the whole video here because that's plagiarism. But basically, the problem that we have with DCEU Superman is that of diminishing returns. Let me
Zack
put it
Snyder
this
is probably one of your biggest
What
reasons.
if Jesus died and we're crucified and then we're crucified again?
Hey, man, if they show Henry Cavill floating away in a Christ pose, does not make the movie about Jesus, bro. Stop it. Like, if you want an actual, like, once again, representation in film, as far as like someone being metaphorical about this idea of a messianic Jesus character, it's the fucking Matrix. It's clear as day. It's the Matrix. But no one talks about. They won't go that far, right? Imagine them saying, like, imagine this guy getting on camera and saying the Matrix sucks because they're trying to use Jesus symbolism. You can't do it. So Zack Snyder uses a couple of iconography style like images of crucifixes or Superman in a church or something like that. Like, just because he showed that doesn't make the character like that. Right? Like, come on, dude. God.
And again, and again.
Terrible.
Kind of loses impact after a while, right? Well, if you don't believe
That's
me,
not
how
the
about
reason
you
why it
check out
sucks.
Your local church's attendance on any day that's not Easter or New Year's Eve.
That's not why the movie sucks.
If the pastor is rolling up in anything that looks like this, probably selling drugs. That on top of the fact that he's a literal ubermensch who spends the majority of the movie sulking about his ubermenschness when the rest of us probably would have at least bench pressed the GWB at that point. And I mean, like POG says, the Christ allegory can work. I mean, it did back in 78, but that's not because the character is inherently Christ-like, but because Donner and Puzo wrote a coherent story around it instead of just a
there you go.
disjointed set pieces with the cringiest dialogue imaginable peppered in between.
Why did you say that name?
What's that to do with
basically
Dark Knight
every
trilogy?
Zack Snyder film in a nutshell. So points for consistency, I guess. My point
Fair
is
enough.
that Superman is by no means an inherently boring character. If you genuinely believe that, then I highly suggest that you go either read or watch any Superman media outside of the Snyderverse or that 05 film that nobody either remembers or cares about. But it's the fact that the writers in Hollywood, at least, keep making him boring because they're not paid to read comics, but they're paid to make everything look like The Dark Knight.
I don't need to read a single fucking comic. I can write you a very, very good Superman story. I almost guarantee that I could do that. Not, once again, I'm not a screenwriter. I can't sit there and write every little line of dialogue, but I can give you a fucking story that actually works with Superman. And yes, they do try to copy The Dark Knight because it's obviously greatness. There's just no way around it. It's obviously good. You have to call it greatness, but at the very least, you're like, that's a good movie. I can't do anything about that. That's a good movie. It's compelling, and it's a good movie. There's nothing you can do about that, all right? So it is what it is. But here we go.
Writers in Hollywood, at least, keep making him boring because they're not paid to read comics, but they're paid to make everything look like The Dark Knight or the complete polar opposite of that. So if for no other reason, I
agree.
Hate the Nolan movies just for that fact alone. Thanks a lot, Chris. Now by the time Secret Wars comes out, I'm going to have to watch every single Marvel extended show and take 2 university courses on the one side character that appeared in the season finale of She-Hulk just to understand what's going on. In the same way, I'd argue that
you bleep out your Fox.
Bat Tootsie Bat fans, myself included, don't really understand the character because we don't know his history. I mean, I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. I don't really have that big an issue or one at all with Batfleck killing because
who cares?
Batman actually
I
was
care,
a killer.
but, you know.
Like, no cap. Straight up gun clapping, neck snapping, going up yonder, catching more bodies than a church kid in college. You see, Batman as originally
and that makes your
Bill Finger and Bob
Batman
Kane
undies
was
twinkle,
much
huh?
more Frank Castle than he is modern day Bruce Wayne. Like, I'd even argue that he wasn't a hero at all, just a victim with a vendetta, much like the Punisher. But because of the character's skyrocketing
I'm going to
popularity
speed this guy up because
pressure from
holy
the
fuck, this is
publisher,
going to take a while.
Eventually, the Bat wound up
speed him up.
trading in his Glock for a grapple gun and got a plucky young ward with a domino mask and Speedo as a consolation. Some would say that's not a
Don't
bad
worry, I'm a
trade-off.
slow jogger too.
And those
It's just,
people
you got
would
an hour left.
also not survive in Gym Pop. Batman was largely inspired by the news strip comics, the dime novels, and Pulp Fiction magazines that were popular during the time, particularly crime dramas like The Phantom and The Shadow. The heroes in these stories tended to be much more gritty, violent, and morally gray than most of the other Golden Age comics and their characters that we've grown to know and love. Another thing you got to understand is that the scale of the stakes in Golden Age comics were much smaller in scale than the near decades-long multiversal arcs that have become the norm these days. I mean, you got to understand, Superman was never meant to be the Messiah in spandex. He was just another dude. I mean, a stupidly overpowered dude, even by modern soup standards, but a dude nonetheless, making the world a better place, one broken Nazi nose at a time. In the same way, Batman
Whoa.
was really conceived as a...
Put that in there. Okay. I mean, I would think, depends on philosophy. Some people think that Jesus was a guy he was God becoming man to see what man lives like, and that's why he can forgive so easily. Like, oh, I understand, man. I became human too, bro. I understand it. That's just, yeah. I mean, I would expect Hollywood weirdos to run with themes like that. It's just, dweebos get in the way of it. No one wants to. Dweebs get in the way of it. Like, damn, we're getting in the way of artists being artists for the sake of our favorite lore. But anyways, here we go.
Hero in the traditional sense. Additionally, what you got to understand is that Batman didn't become the living Deus Ex Machina that he is now in the comics until his undeniable crossover appeal forced the writers to kind of sort of try to figure out a way to even the scales between he and his new superpowered friendos. At the end of the day, Batman is a detective. The most compelling parts of his stories aren't watching him punch a bunch of petty thugs in the face, although I'm not going to lie, that's not going to hurt, but it's watching him figure out who done it and why. Something that the movie writers seem to forget for some reason. Why? Because The Dark Knight Returns. That's why. Batman was one of the few superhero comics that remained relatively popular post-World War II. Thus, that inevitable crossover with the Big Blue Boy Scout and
Yada, yada, historical.
Additionally,
factoids,
this crossover led
politics.
to a lot more mainstream scrutiny being directed toward the character. Because
if we made a straight-up political, dry Batman like that, it would be fucking boring. It would be boring. It'd be not interesting at all. There's no compellingness to the character. It's goddammit, eat your vitamins, or in their minds, a deeper version of that, which would be like, hey, war's bad or something like that, right? Which they did little tidbits of in the Nolan trilogy, but they didn't do it enough. They needed the focus on political narratives. Or maybe not. Maybe for this guy, it's about him being a detective of investigating a crime of made-up characters in a made-up world, just investigating them, and then we get a conclusion of how he figured out the crime and why they did it, of make-believe characters, instead of maybe maybe something to say about, hey, why it's not good to just kill someone, or hey, when you're poor and starving, I get why you might commit crime. I understand that. He doesn't want that from his characters. He wants them to fucking whodunit for 2.5 hours for 3 different movies. Yeah. Enjoy it, man. It sounds boring as fuck to me. It sounds like, let's be real, a dry work of art, I guess. But hey, maybe that works for him. Here we go.
According to 1950s purity culture and more than likely more than a few repressed sexualities, the crimes depicted in the comics were a little too realistic for their taste, which, I mean, it's a detective comic. What did you expect, nigga? But also his relationship with Robin being called down on the carpet for having homosexual overtones to it or whatever. This is, again, the same decade in which 4 and 5 doctors recommended huffing paint for vertigo or whatever. But again, according to these folks, intimate male relationships can't exist without touching tips. So there you have that. This, along with pressure to compete with more explicitly superheroes, as well as declining comic sales across the board post-World War II, led to the creation of characters like Batwoman and the OG Batgirl, as well as the older Bat comics gravitating more toward the sci-fi oriented stories that would basically characterize
you motherfuckers make it this far into the video, congratulations.
For the next 3 or so decades.
I'm falling off.
Handing out the shark repellent bat spray.
And then The Dark Knight Returns happens. And if you've made it this far into the video, I'm just assuming that you know why and how that became such a big deal. So I'm just going to move on from this portion. What I will say is that one big benefit that Batman got from The Dark Knight Returns that Superman never really got with an equivalent sort of story is that it unequivocally returned the character back to his gritty pulp novel roots. And I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. This is part of the reason why many, myself included, consider the BTAS Batman to be the definitive one, because it combines those crime noir elements of the early stories with the more fun and fanciful elements of the Adam West era. The combination of these two was able to get 90s kids like me invested in the character. So what I'm
I like good writing. I like good writing, no matter what. Like, I don't care what's it's about. I don't care if it's fucking Barbie, Batman, fucking Corleone. I don't care who it is. Like, if it's good writing, it's good writing. Why aren't we? I mean, for me at least, like my idea of good writing, that's where I go. So I don't care if they take a Batman property and add some good writing to it. According to my opinion, that doesn't, like, I'm not so stuck to the fucking comics, bro. I'm just not gonna. I mean, like, I'd have to ask this guy, what are your favorite movies outside of comic books? Because that might be very telling. It's like, really? I'm sure it's not Forrest Gump. See Bubba and get this stuff. Here we go.
saying is, folks, you can most definitely make a fun Batman and make him good, like the Burton movies, for example, or the criminally underrated Brave and the Bold animated series.
We were supposed to meet here over 2 hours ago.
Look at this
I don't
shit.
have to answer to you. I'm Batman.
Or you can also make him gritty, like basically everybody else. Just don't make him gritty for the sake of grit, or because you saw Frank Miller do it. And this,
That's the Batman, you dumb fuck. Holy shit, he doesn't fucking pick it up. Dude, Matt Reeves' Batman is gritty for the sake of gritty. From the movie Sound, the little Nirvana thing, I guess it's Nirvana, wherever they got the sound from, right? That dun 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 dun. They play it like 40 times in that movie for the sake of telling you that it's dark and gritty. It's raining apparently all day and night in Gotham for the sake of dark and gritty. Like, there's no point to it. How did he not see that? You think Nolan was showing dark shit for the sake of showing dark shit? I'm sure he's like trying to follow the lore of Batman a little bit and be like, oh, he's, he fights at night because he presents a presence of fear. He puts fear in the hearts of criminals, which the entire first movie Batman Begins was about. It was about Bruce Wayne learning to deal with his own psychological traumas, his own fears, and then he uses it as a weapon against bad guys. But they know he won't kill them too. So it's like but it's like he's like approaching a line of where it's like you're threatened, like, fuck, I might die fucking with this Batman guy. But he doesn't cross the line though. But he approaches it. Right? He can go to those depths of darkness, which is, I think, is the essence of at least in my mind, like what a cool Batman would look like or express himself as. I hit those dark tones, those deeper, darker tones, not just on the surface, but also psychologically. I go to those darker depths psychologically and see if you can make it as a bad guy or whatever the fuck. Except he found out in the second movie that Joker is willing to go there too, and obviously cross the line too. But yeah, I'll go there. We're the freaks. We're the guys that can navigate those areas that the regular person of Gotham can't do. Eep.
folks, is what leads me into why the Batman is, in my opinion, again, the best live action iteration of the character that we've seen since, frankly, ever. Okay, so this again is just my opinion, but
that
I feel
dog
like
shit
the best
script
superhero movies aren't even that.
By the way, the Batman script is terrible. It's dog shit, bro. I'm telling you, it's terrible. And part of the reason why it's terrible is because the character, first of all, the hero character is not a hero, which is fine. I get what they're going with, like, oh, I'm vengeance. I'm a pissed off. I'm a dangerous boy, right? He's like one of those guys. I'm dangerous, right? And it's like, okay, I understand that, but when Penguin causes a bunch of deaths on a highway and there's cars piling up and all that shit, and you just let him go, it looks like laughably comical. Even if he's like, I'm just here for vengeance. I'm taking vengeance out on the underworld of Gotham. Unless you're Penguin, because the plot told me not to fuck with you. It told me to leave you alone. I heard you have a new show coming out. I'm not gonna fuck with you. Okay, you're good. But everyone else, yeah, watch out for me, Batman. It's like, yeah, it looks stupid. You can see the writer's hands all over the project for the sake of what? Future properties. The same thing you cried about Marvel doing, right? Where they make you watch a show to watch, so that it gets you to watch a movie, that gets you to watch another movie, that gets you to watch Endgame at some point, right? The same thing you just cried about. That's what the fuck do you think the Batman was, leading into Penguin, leading into another Batman movie or another Batman property? The fuck do you think that was? What do you think they're doing with their writing with that? That isn't writing to express something about the human psyche or about moral philosophy. That's to get you to go to the next fucking project. How the fuck are you that stupid? How do you not see that? How do you see that with Marvel but not with that? This sounds like a stomping out of nothingness, honestly. Like a child stomping on the ground. No! Or a kid trying to be different, putting on your black emo and fucking makeup. Like Robert Pattinson. That's what this comes off as. It doesn't come off as seriously critical. It really doesn't, man. Anyways, I'll let him keep going. He has something for that. There you go.
They're something else entirely, just with a bunch of licensed logos to distract you from that.
It sounds like you're
Winter
just finding
Soldier
reasons
spy
why.
The entirety of the
Finding reasons like, man, why do people like this thing so much? I need to find a reason against it. And they're like seemingly make-believe bullshit, bro. Like, honest to God. How do you see that? But you picked the Batman out of all that? If you didn't do that, I'd be like, okay, maybe you have some critiques for the Nolan trilogy, fine. But when you replace it with the Batman, I'm like, that's where I'm like, dude, what the fuck are your motives, man? Is this like a trigger thing for you? Alright, scroll. There you go. Here's oh, I didn't really like the Spider-Man movies too well.
Superhero movies aren't even that. They're something else entirely, just with a bunch of licensed logos to distract you from that. Winter Soldier is a spy thriller. The entirety of the MCU Spider-Man arc is a coming-of-age drama. The Blade franchise is a bunch of horror movies. Well, at least the first two are horror movies. The third one was just an abomination. And Logan is a Western. Like, it's basically just No Country for Old Men, but just with adamantium claws instead of silent shotguns.
He missed No Country for Old Men too, then. If you think those are the same movies, you missed that movie as well. It's like he doesn't actually see the movies when they're played. Like, it might be speaking a language you're not fucking picking up on, dude. That might be the actual thing. You're not picking up on the language the movie might be going for. Maybe. I'd be curious what he thinks about Nosferatu. If he's just not picking up on where the movie's going. Maybe. There we go.
Don't believe me? Sheriff Bell, when confronted with the absolute path of destruction left in the wake of Anton Chigurh, is forced to come to terms with his own morality and the fact that he's living in a world that has no place for him anymore, and worse yet, on borrowed time.
Time,
mortality. Like the Grimace over here, is inevitable. It's an unstoppable force of nature. You can't bargain with it. You can't reason with it. You can't beg to it. You just gotta hope that when your time comes, that you're...
Isn't that literal dialogue from The Dark? Isn't that literal dialogue from The Dark Knight? Whatever.
Ducks are all in a row, and that insurance policy is paid off.
You know how this is gonna turn out, don't you?
Nope.
I think you do. So this is what I'll offer. You bring me the money and I'll let her go. Otherwise, she's accountable. The same as you.
Okay, Shane, the themes are the same,
deal
but not the
you're gonna
plots.
I
Fair
won't
enough.
tell you can save yourself, because you can't.
That reminds me, I gotta restructure my budget for this month. That is what Anton Chigurh is. Time, or as another video puts it, change. He is inevitable. Once you're in his crosshairs, you're not going to get out. He's almost supernatural in his dogged pursuit of his mission.
How do you see that from that movie? You don't see the Joker in the Batman movie, in the Dark Knight. How do you not see that? He's a force of nature. No, Joker's he's a psychopath with the clown makeup on who just wants to be chaotic. What? I don't understand that. It doesn't make sense to me.
Best you can do is just pray that you have.
Maybe he will. Maybe he'll tie it back in.
Order.
But like,
Fact of the matter is, once you're on his list.
What's that?
No, I'm saying he accurately describes how Anton's a metaphor or an ideal, but he can't see it with Batman and the Joker.
It's actually dumbfounding. Maybe he can. He just like doesn't like it. Which I'd be like, okay.
Well, blinded by the fandom of the character, the Batman.
Yeah, listen, I'd be like, okay, you just have bad taste, and I'll move on with my day. Like, don't watch Black Swan, don't watch V for Vendetta, don't watch The Matrix, don't watch Nosferatu, don't watch these movies. Don't watch Cloud Atlas, don't watch fucking Everything Everywhere All at Once. Don't watch movies like that, then. Don't watch No Country for Old Men. Don't watch that movie either. Like, just stop doing it. But if it's just about the Batman name, like, fuck it, change the fucking name, bro. Yo, Nolan, these dweebos are out here complaining about your shit. Just call it The Man, and name him John Wayne, and boom. Just take away the property names. Then maybe they might appreciate what you tried to do with your film. Maybe not. I don't know. But here we go. Anime, got it.
In Logan, Wolverine and Captain Luke Picard are in the same position that Sheriff Bell is in. Some unnamed catastrophe has wiped out almost all of mutant kind, and these two are left to be dinosaurs in a world that no longer wants nor needs them. But they find new hope in Lara, that at least even if their time expires, their kind can continue to press forward. And so it now becomes their mission to keep her safe from the corporate interests who would use and abuse her and ultimately discard her once they're done using her for whatever nefarious purposes they have. And
Is that the heartstring that pulled him, maybe? The idea of, like, it's the corporate guys, they're bad. Maybe that's what got him. He's like, yeah.
It sounds like it. And Bruce Wayne's corporate guy, hedge fund.
Yeah.
These things write themselves.
It's seemingly. I mean, it's just... Once again, we could probably have a political discussion. It's just not going to look good there either. That's the thing about it. Like, if I just dive into... I hate politics. But if I dive into it, like, it's not going to be fair there either. So, like, what are we doing then? But whatever, here we go.
Because this isn't a Logan film analysis, I might do that in the future if y'all want, or if I feel.
I need to rewatch Logan.
In the same way, the Batman is not really a superhero movie. It's a neo-noir flick that's much closer in tone and themes to another Nolan movie, Memento, than it is to The Dark Knight. Neo-noir.
By the way, The Dark Knight is also not a super... The Batman trilogy, other than the third one, The Dark Knight Rises is 100% a stereotypical superhero movie. Like, there's more elements to it than a typical superhero movie, but they're trying to hit the superhero movie tone. The first two? No. This is their attempt at making the Matrix through Batman. But in a different way.
That's what's bothering him.
I guess he needs to be a detective.
He's looking for, what's it called? The milestones. in a boilerplate way where he's expecting to see things. When he doesn't see them, he downgrades the movie. And he's not, like you said, he's not picking up on the language of the movie.
At all.
He's like, nope, this isn't in here, that isn't in here, that isn't in here. So we're taking points off.
Where's the fifth wheel on the Batmobile, huh? Where's that at, huh? See that? I didn't see it.
At the same time, he can't call it bad, though. Like you said, he can't call it bad. He can try to say he doesn't like it, but he can't call it bad. Which, in a way, would mean like, yo, so you don't really know what you want. What you say you want, you don't want that.
Listen, I've heard plenty of people say that is not Batman. That character in that Nolan trilogy, he's not Batman. But the movie's awesome. I've heard that plenty of times. And there's no way around it. What do you do? Like, maybe they want the movie to be bad because they want like damn it, now they're gonna make Batman like this forever and ever. maybe that's their beef with it. But in reality, it's like, I'm sorry, like this, they took a superhero concept and brought it to big boy league. Let's be honest, that movie's compared to big boy movies, not just the Marvel universe. It doesn't even get talked about in regards to the Marvel universe because it stands outside of the fucking thing. Let's be honest about that. Like, critically speaking, it's beyond those things. It really is. Well, you just love. There's nothing they could say about that. You just love. See, it was a thing about the government spying on people, and you just like stuff like that. Yeah. They got nothing for that. Nothing they can fucking say. Not a fucking peep. Thus, it has to be about something. He's not a detective enough. He doesn't have enough wheels on the Batmobile. Joker doesn't laugh like that. Where's Harley Quinn at? Gordon didn't have a mustache like that. Gordon was taller. It's like that's all they have, bro. It's little aesthetic bullshits. Like, hey guys, go recreate the Matrix for me, please. Go rewrite it for us and tell us how it should look. Anyways, here we go.
Noir films often deal with themes of morality and alienation. The protagonist is usually a morally gray, if not nihilistic, anti-hero.
He knows about moral philosophy in films in regards to Sin fucking City, but not the Dark Knight trilogy. I'm wrecked, bro. How do you not see that? How do you not see that first of all, Batman Begins, obvious, clear as day. But maybe you could say, like, oh, maybe it's more about fear or something like that. The Dark Knight, there's no way around it. It is about morality. It is. The simplest terms, don't judge a book by its cover, maybe. Could be an idea there. But even though I think it's way beyond that idea. But, like, at the very least, you could pick up on that idea from the movie, I think. I hope. I guess he saw the intricate details of Sin City. Cartoony looking motherfuckers. Here we go.
Hero who's driven more by their own personal interest than by any sense of the greater good. These films often also involve a
saw
plot
Chinatown,
that
didn't he?
starts out as a standard revenge plot, but with ever-increasing stakes, winds up becoming a multi-layered conspiracy involving crime bosses, corrupt government officials, if not entire institutions. The Batman stays true to all of this.
That's what he's looking for. That's what he's actually looking for. He's not looking for morality. He's not looking for moral philosophy in a film. Those are side notes. What he's mainly looking for is some sort of convoluted conspiracy that needs to be uncovered by the detective character. Like fucking Chinatown. Which I've seen very recently, by the way. For the first time. So like that movie's like relatively fresh in my head in regards to that. So I'm like, I can see why you picked that out as like compared to like the like magnum opus for moral philosophy in film is fucking Batman. Believe it or not, bro. They took this superhero comic book fucking thing that's made for that people are like, oh, Batman, that's for kids. These little highbrow motherfuckers, high art motherfuckers were like, Batman, that's for kids. Then they saw The Dark Knight and they're like, oh, okay. All right. Now we view this differently. Like, this can be done differently. Someone could take this medium and turn it into something special. To where those big PP concepts are in there. Or something like The Matrix in 99 where it's like, oh, this cyberpunk nerd anime dweebs. There's nothing special here. Then they see The Matrix and they're like, all right, there's something special here. We get it. There's something special here. How do we make more? It's like, yeah. It's like he doesn't want that to be like the Batman. Literally showing the car pile up scene where Batman doesn't arrest the guy who caused it. He lets him go. But he's a peak detective. Like, you don't need to detect this shit, bro. It's Penguin obviously causing pile-ups of cars and shit like that. As a magic ramp falls for the Batman to fly through with a ball of fire behind it. Like, come on, it's a cringy fucking old school action sequence. And he's God. Anyways, here we go.
Is corrupt government
so
officials,
bad,
if not entire institutions.
How are we that stupid?
The Batman stays true to all of this, and even stays true to the pacing
Look, he shows the ramp
of those films, incorporating the high contrast.
He's trying to make it sound smart when it's just stupid action.
That also characterize those films.
He's trying to make it sound smart when it's just stupid action with no purpose to it because the guy who caused it gets away. the hero lets him get away anyways. So that means that was all for nothing, dude. He corrects them on like their Spanish or something, or they're Italian, right? In that scene, he's like, "Oh, los, whatever the fuck they say, bro. Whatever the word I forgot what the word was. It's los cicadas, whatever the fuck the word they use. I'm sure it's some word. I'm just not remembering it, but that's what they hear from the Penguin. He corrects them on their language. They're like, "Wait, that must mean this," and they just leave this fool here, and they actually make it a punchline of like, what do you want me to... Wait, you're just going to leave me here? It's like, he should be happy, right? Shouldn't he be happy that the head cop and the other cop, the Batman, are like, yo, we're just going to, like, let you go. Bye. Thank you for solving that puzzle for me. I'll see you later. You're just going to leave me here? It's like, thanks. All right. I'll call one of my boys and get the fuck out of here. But, yeah, you know, it's only... logic and storytelling, logic of characters and storytelling like that. Who gives a fuck about that? Make it look like a comic book. Here we go.
Contrast lighting and the big action set pieces that also characterize those films. I mean, the only thing it's really missing is a femme fatale, and I mean, arguably, Selena Kyle is that, except she doesn't ever really flip flags on a protagonist.
He's fan nerd boying and not film critic,
bro. The same way that Logan is much more comparable to neo-westerns like Hell or High Water and Sicario, the Batman is much more comparable to films like L.A. Confidential or Chinatown than it is to Thor: Love and Thunder. And in that way, I, again, believe that this is the most true adaptation in live action to the OG Bat of the comic books. And again, makes him the best.
Which doesn't make it good. No, not about the best Batman. Fuck Batman. Fuck that guy. The best character. Is that the best character? It's not. It's nowhere near it. That's why it'll go down in nowhere. It'll go down in nowhere territory. It'll be infamous for nothing. In fact, if that becomes infamous, it'll be because of 3 or 4 projects later down the road. It had nothing to do with this project that we saw of the Batman. That's Marvel shit, and I think he's trying to compare Nolan's shit to the Marvel universe, and comparing this as standing outside of the Marvel style universe. Like, are you kidding me? Maybe, well, I guess this is probably in the past. He didn't know they're making a show, making another movie. They're going to make other properties spinning off of this thing. Not like maybe maybe he changed his opinion. But here we go.
Action to the OG Bat of the comic books, and again makes him the
got
best
so much more I
Batman
can do
that we've
about it.
seen
It's
on the
just
silver
garbage.
screen since ever. But you see, it's not just the genre or its corresponding themes that elevate the Batman to GOAT status, but it's the fact that for the first
You didn't say
time
it's
in,
themes.
30 years, Batman is not the weakest part of his own movie. So let's go back to Batman for a second. Like, for as much flack as we give Snyder, and deservedly so, for his messianic messaging, why don't we do the same thing
For
for
messianic
Nolan
messaging?
with his Batman? Both the second and the third movies end with Bruce making some sort of Christ-like sacrifice. Like in The Dark Knight, he's literally taking on the sins of Harvey Dent and the entire Gotham judicial system, for that matter, on as his own. Like,
Okay, so once again, another more faulty premises. Like the Zack Snyder movies, they don't suck because there's messianic messaging. They suck because they suck. They suck storytelling wise. They're terrible storytelling wise. I just watched Man of Steel. It's bad. As a film, it sucks. It's inconsistent with the logic of the characters. It's a mess to lead to giant action set pieces. Superman destroying. He's messianic, but yet he's destroying all life of fucking Metropolis. He's destroying everything there, but he's supposed to be messianic. Like, fuck out of here, man. Like, stop it. Oh my god. It's like, yo, just get rid of the core of the Matrix for that, so that this guy can enjoy it. Apparently. And yes, there is quote unquote messianic. Like, first he does this thing where he calls like, oh, these are just. Like, let's look at them as real people, right? He judges the movie that way. Not forces, not archetypes, not symbolism, not metaphors. They're just actual people. He said, first, let's judge them like that. Now he's saying they use too much messianic messaging in The Dark Knight. Like, what? How did you get there? It doesn't make sense, dude. Or either they're were supposed to be grounded real life guys, or they're metaphors for something else. You tell me, anime dweeb nerd guy. Please. This is why you need to keep nerds away from fucking art, bro. Enjoy your comic book shit, whatever the fuck you do. If there's a comic book made movie that's made for comic book fucking fans, awesome. But that doesn't mean it's made for all fucking fans, dude. It's not made for all fucking movie fans. There needs to be room for actual high art in what I would call high art. Like, sorry, Marvel's not doing it. Sorry, the Batman's nowhere fucking close to it. It's worse than the Marvel movies. It may look like darker and deeper and more for adults because of coloration and soundtracks, but no, it's not actually more intelligent writing than the Marvel movies. I think it's worse than a lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So it's like just nonsense, man. Absolute fucking nonsense. So it's like I wouldn't know how to make a movie for this guy other than like just make an animated comic book movie. Make it animated. Here we go.
The last 20 minutes of this movie is basically, Father, forgive them, for they are numbskulls. And then, oh my God, I don't even want to talk about this scene. Just roll the clip, Clarence.
Exclamation.
Is that in the actual soundtrack? I don't know.
I mean,
With the
who
sacrificial
thought this thing was not on autopilot? I mean, the stakes aren't quite threat level dragon, but they are big enough that it warrants a Christ-like
level
sacrifice
dragon?
from the one dude in the entire city who's able to make such a sacrifice. And in the process, Bruce basically goes from being vilified to deified by the public, even though, again, nothing he's done really warrants such reverence. Like, honestly, Bruce as a character...
Yeah, Dark Knight Rises, it is what it is. They actually made it more comic booky and kind of cliche. Although there are definitely some interesting elements in there about the ideas of like forgiveness and all that. Like there's things in there for sure, but let's be real, it's the lowest quality of the three movies. But go ahead, focus on that one.
Character peaked in Batman Begins, and that's because
it's
he
better.
just kind of stopped.
My bad. I forgot to say this. It's better than the Batman. It's a lot better. It's a lot better than the Batman. I didn't review that movie, but I watched like 4 times in like 2 or 3 days. I watched the Batman because I'm like, this is comically bad. Like this is like, am I seeing shit? Like I had to like argue, like I had to talk to other people. Like, am I seeing shit? Why is this getting like? Why are people calling this good? Like it's actually dog shit. It's a dog shit movie. As a movie, not as a Batman thing. But as a movie, it sucks ass. It really does suck ass. But, you know, maybe I review that one, like, point for point type of thing. But here we go.
At being super cop, even though everything we know about his world says that if he wants to really facilitate the kind of change that Gotham is going to need, then he has to be more than that. But because he is a self-centered prick after all,
by the way, I'm not writing anything down.
Settles
Talking
on
up the top of
punching
my
as
head.
many dope dealers and mafiosi in the face as he can to scare the rest of Gotham's underworld into hiding, which admittedly by the second movie he's accomplished. But as Pat the Bat says in the opening to his own movie, one nigga can only be in so many places at one time. Specifically, one place at one time.
2 years of nights have turned me into a nocturnal animal. I must choose.
He dresses like...
It's a big city.
What are they called? Watchdogs?
But yet and still, Pat the Bat, because he hasn't really found a better solution, just presses on toward his admittedly unfulfillable goal. Batbale, on the other hand, just settles for tapping everybody's phone like a superfed, which honestly would probably be a better alter ego for him. And this is because unlike...
Superfed. I bet you know a lot about politics, don't you? I bet you don't, though, at the same time. But whatever. Yeah, he does that at the very end of the movie to capture Joker. The whole movie implies it's like this is not the right thing to do. And Batman is the guy who's willing to go to the nth degree, like right to the edge of immoral without crossing the line. Because the idea, like what Joker represents as an idea, as a being, right? Because Batman represents an idea. They said that in the first fucking movie. Joker also represents something as like a kind of a counter, like an almost like a polar opposite of the Batman character. Dare I say, the Jesus and devil moment, huh? He goes to that at the very end of the movie without crossing the line, because they're make believe characters and someone can write their actions out of it and their motives in regards to it and all that shit. But I guess he is super harping on that because politics, because of lame brain, simple ass politics. Like, hey, what's your solution for this? I got nothing. Defund the police. Fuck. Get money out of politics because I read this in a book. I memorized it. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So if I give you money, you're going to be corrupt? No, not me. I'm a good guy. So then that idea is not true. Then it's true for people I don't know. That's over there. It's on TV. So this is entertainment for you. Then this is like kind of like a boo and a hiss at a crowd. Like you're booing Vince McMahon walking down the fucking aisle, but have nothing to fucking do with it, right? Not a part of the show. It's time we get you all involved in the show, not just watching from the outside. With you're comfortable at your little bars and you're on your fucking stools and in your fucking lazy boys. I'm gonna get you all a little involved in this. Oh my god, that movie's fucking epic, bro. And he doesn't fucking peep it at all, bro. It's a mystery to him. And you know what? I'm glad for that. I'm glad that the dweebo anime nerds just can't peep it. They don't get it. They're fucking lost. They'll get the Batman. Somehow they said the Batman? The Batman? Where you call him a great detective, but he finds this blonde girl. He's like, fuck that. I'm going to chase pussy. because maybe in their worlds, in their cold, dead world, like, oh, this is what a person would actually do. They chase the pussy. They say, fuck integrity, fuck honor, fuck being a immovable object. Let's follow the pussy. Where does Catwoman go? But the girl you're looking for is right there. Fuck her. Where's Catwoman going? Let me get in a fist fight, then do we make out or something? Whatever, let's follow this trail. Let's follow your clue. Like, come on, dude. Come on, bro. Whatever. We like dog shit storytelling. If you can't tell by the way films are at, like, not saying this guy, like, he's better than the culture warrior idiots who are pleading from the other team of these guys, right? Probably somewhat better as far as like film quality goes or TV quality goes. It's probably a little bit better from this guy's perspective than like nerdrotic culture war idiots. But let's be real, you guys are on the same fucking playing field. And I think great creators stand outside of you and you won't fucking recognize them when it's right in your face. Instead, you'll take fucking watered down, saying nothing art. Like literally saying nothing about anything important. In fact, you're going to have to come in and make it up for them. But anyways, here we go. I'm almost done with this. Like I made it a half hour in. I did pretty good.
Batman.
Right?
This Batman actually is
right.
Bruce Wayne, the self-absorbed playboy with all the time and money in the world to spend on his own whims and live and do as he pleases, is this Batman. At the end of the day, he doesn't really want change. All he's...
Wait. He is... Wait. The scene he's showing of him being a playboy, like he's using that as a mask. Just like in Batman Begins, where Rachel's like, no, this is your mask. She's touching Bruce's actual face. That's your mask. The real you is this force of quote unquote good. The attempt of being a force of good. That's the real you. You want to grab corruption by the neck and strangle it, but you don't want to kill it. You don't want to just massacre it, right? Because you have a moral code that stops you from being as corrupt as the corrupt guys would be. If I take this man's life, what makes me different than the fucking criminals that I'm trying to stop? What makes me different? I'm just an executioner at that point. Oh no, that wasn't in the movies. Sorry, that wasn't in the movies. But in the Batman, there's a bigger, deeper storytelling lesson that's in there than that little idea I just gave you right there. When Bruce and the two girls jump in the little tub thing right at the bar that he owns, that he just bought, right? He's using his Playboy thing. But yeah, I just bought this place. Right? And he sees Rachel and he's like, this isn't who I am. This isn't me. Like this is like a mask. I'm hiding who I really am. So that no one really looks at me, right? They just see, oh, you're a billionaire playboy. That's it. Was that scene in the Dark Knight where he's walking into the back room towards his panic room or whatever the fuck? And like, what the fuck you gonna do, pretty boy? He fucks him up in like 2 seconds, takes his gun, breaks it apart, throws it to pieces, throws it on the ground, goes to his panic room. Like that's one of the most savage scenes ever, bro. Like interesting too. It's storytelling that's built on storytelling. It's not just it's so cool. It's Batman. Like no, it's that like oh you ran with this kind of mirage. The idea of being able to use was it the League of Shadows of being able to masquerade in real time. He actually took those lessons without taking the thing that morally he couldn't do. He threw that away, but took all the good parts of it. Being able to masquerade yourself. Where are you going, pretty? But fuck, I'm wrecked. Anyway, all right. There's more of this dweeb. Let's be real. Yeah, I want to know what his favorite films are outside of comic books, if there even are outside of comic books and anime. Anime doesn't count. Like no, it can't be anime either. Has to be has to be outside of superheroes and anime. What is this guy like? Actually, but here we go.
Is Bruce Wayne, the self-absorbed playboy with all the time and money in the world to spend on his own whims and live and do as he pleases, is this Batman. At the end of the day, he doesn't really want change. All he's doing is exercising his own personal demons on all of the lowlives he thinks deserves it anyway. Like he's literally punching down without doing anything to address any of the systemic causes behind Gotham's corruption, aside from throwing his public support behind Harvey Dent. And even then, the only reason why he does is because he's tired of running around at night punching petty thugs in the face, and he would much rather be at home getting his pipe polished by his childhood Betty.
I mean, oh my god. I mean, pathologically dislikes this Batman. Okay, I thought it was like it's not even fandom, bro. This is the what's the shit? Batman's a cop thing, or
Yeah.
Batman's a Fed thing, or whatever the fuck. It really is that for this guy. He's out here trying to just get his dick waxed by this girl. Like that wasn't in the movies. He's he went on an entire political spiel there. He's punching down. Those are borrowed terms. He's borrowing political terms, using them to grade a Batman movie. Meanwhile, look at the Batman, right? With Robert Pattinson. Like, you don't see any problems with that? Hey, dude, man, you don't see any problem. Like, if you're gonna take them as literal political figures, which is what this guy's doing now, as the true reason why he doesn't like this Batman, apparently, seemingly, in my opinion. Look at Robert Pattinson. Like, you tell me. What did he do in that movie that showcased to you that, or you're just mad that the movie was so celebrated that you're like, damn it, fuck. He didn't even beat. He wasn't even a detective, man. Little fucking child ass shit, bro. Like bro. This is I think I'm ending this here. Unfortunately, he has another half hour, another 40 minutes to go with this video. I don't think I can make it, to be honest with you. So I'm just be blatantly honest here. In my opinion, these type of opinions ruin film. They ruin it, bro. They actually do. I think they ruin political films. I think they get in the way of those too. But mainly, let's be real. The I watched The Dark Knight, and I don't just see a carnival ride of just pure entertainment like I do the Marvel Universe, right? I see an actual attempt by an artist to say something about the world, or about philosophy, or about morality. I see an attempt by art, not so much the third one. But the first two, there's no doubt about it. Even though I do think it's in the third one too. It's in there too, but I'm kind of leaving that alone. I know it's a little bit more comic booky, if you will. But yeah, or cartoonish, or whatever the word would be. But yeah, I respect artists that try to say something about the world they live in or what they think about the world. I live for that shit in film. I'm a huge film fan, and I look for shit like that in movies. I think that's kind of the quiet thread. The quiet thread isn't something special, like, oh, you read, you know, you read this philosopher or that philosopher or this spiritual person or that guru or whatever. I read their work and now I'm using it in my movie. That's not what I mean by silent thread. It's usually something like an artist is trying to express that they actually thought about for actual periods of time, and they've found a way to put it into a language that I think that they want an audience member to pick up on. And I think that's the beauty of art itself. That is art. That is what it is, definition-wise for me. Is expression. And if you're better at expressing yourself as far as like what you're trying to say, so people go a lot far abstract, right, where it's harder to understand what they're doing. But if they can find a way to speak a language to an audience that they can pick up on, I consider that special. I consider that greatness. And if you can put it in the middle of a plot of a Batman fucking movie, that's really good. That's super duper good. Or a movie about ballet, or a sci-fi cyberpunk movie, or like, dare I say, political movie, right? Like, it is what it is with that. Like, it's just unfortunate that I don't know what the guy's saying, man. I really don't know what he's saying. That he's out here just getting his dick sucked by. Like, she didn't pick him in the movie. She wasn't with him in the movie, dude. Right? Rachel didn't pick Batman in the movie. Is that like? Are you adding motives? Like, yeah, this guy. Look at this white guy. He's super rich. He just wants to get his dick sucked, isn't it? Meanwhile, like, the character shows you the exact opposite. Holy shit, man! Like, you are fucking bonked out of your fucking mind in regard. Like, dude, like, watch the fucking films. Like, what do you think the artist is trying to say? 'Cause some of the shit they come up with, like, it's like they're almost eliminating the creators from it, and there's like, image I saw on screen must mean this. It's like, yo. In Tom Cruise version of Jack Reacher, he put on Yankee hat. That means Yankee's evil. You know what I'm saying? It's like, holy caveman, dumb thought ass, think they're smart ass because they read a couple book ass dumb fucks, bro. I can't stand these fucking fools. And they fuck movies over. They fuck them up. And what an artist might be trying to say. You get in the fucking way, dude. Granted, I'm all for everyone's opinions. It's just, holy shit, man. How do you miss it that far? It must be someone's fucking bias that is like actually like bringing them to certain conclusions. Like, it's fucking bizarre, man. We're just detective skills. Holy fuck. Is that a reason to be like, yeah, he just wants to sit back and get his dick sucked by Rachel? Like, holy fuck. Maybe he's trolling with that. Maybe he's trolling, and just because I'm stopping the video here, he has something more to say about that. It's just like, God, man. And you wrote this? You sat here and wrote this shit too, man? I'm just talking off the top of my fucking head, man. You sat here and wrote this shit, and this is what you came up with, man? Like, it's fucking lame, dude. It actually is lame. He represents the noir Batman. Go watch that fucking movie, The Batman. See how dog shit it is. Go watch him inject green ooze into his fucking leg. Go enjoy that and call it like, damn, that says something about what? Chemicals, steroid use, like what? Batman with no gumption or anything like that. He needs fucking green ooze to fix himself. It's boring and trash. It is what it is. All right, there's our first technical fan request, official fan request video. I couldn't even make it all the way through, man. It's just brain rot at this point. But there it is. There's 149, 150 minutes of Artist Dead talking about Little Bill and his little politics and his little sense of film. There it is.